Okay, so back to what I was saying. Welcome to version 9. Let's look at some of the new things. The biggest new thing is what the screen looks like. So whenever you open, and it's not the biggest new thing, but it's the first thing you see. This is the home screen that pops up. It has your most recent designs opened. I didn't realize I opened this butterfly, but apparently at some point I did. On the side, it does have different things you can go to, like the webinars that Bernina hosts, OESD. Pretty sure this is OESD's website, even if it doesn't say OESD. Projects, because there are projects included in the Hoop projects. So the instructions, you can go to the Bernina blog. Just some quick places to go. In the middle, of course, we can open a new design. We can open a design. We can do a new design. It shows all our recent ones. This is actually very handy if you are going back and forth between designs and keep working on the same thing. And then on the left-hand side, we have where we can go to our embroidery canvas as per usual, go to our embroidery library. We're at the home screen, but then we have tutorials. And if we go to featured tutorials, it will actually show you version 9 tutorials. I believe they are currently unlisted on YouTube, but you can get them from here. So I clicked on tutorials and featured tutorials. There is a 30-day free trial. The software is not going to be here in 30 days. We wished it was going to be, we wished it was going to be here in 30 days. Unfortunately, some things have happened, mostly shipping things. So it's going to be a little bit later before we get it. And we have asked if there's a way for us to extend the trial versions for consumers who have prepaid, and they have said no. They are being nice enough to extend the dealer trials, and that's all they want to do. But you do have some tutorials here. Then there's also my profile, which when I clicked over here earlier was broken for me. But, and I'm not sure why. I'm very good at breaking things. But usually it will have your email address up here that you register your account with. Oh, hey, it's not broken anymore. So restarting fixed this. But it has my email address I used. It has my names and stuff. It asks if I represent a company or a school. In this case, I do not. It says how many active sessions I have. So I have this installed on a desktop and a laptop. I'm currently on my desktop, so I can't end that session. But I can click end session on my laptop, and it will boot me out of my laptop. And it will open up that save. Or not save. That's the wrong button. Oh gosh, the wrong word. It'll open up that installation. So you can sign in to a maximum of 3 devices at a time. And if you want to sign into another device, a 4th device, you can end one of the other sessions. So unlike version 8, where if you get a new computer or you want to install it on another computer, specifically if you get a new computer and you'd want to use the same install, it's very annoying to move it. Doable. It's just they made quite a few steps. Both computers have to be working, all that jazz. With this, it is a little bit easier because you do make an account with them. So it's kind of stored in the cloud. This does mean that you have to have internet, but I think you only have to have it every 30 days. Like it checks every 30 days to make sure you still have permission to use it. I have not experimented with actually clicking the end session button, but I also don't have a computer that does not go on the internet. Like, I don't think I could survive with a computer without internet. But it is cool that we can look and see, like, what got signed into. And then there's also help, which I might regret clicking. I think it opened something on this other side. Yeah, it opened a tab in a web browser that popped to my other screen. But if you click on help, it gets you the help manual, Okay, there's 2 different places you can go to help. This one is the press F something on your keyboard and opens this up, whether you want it or not. What is nice is that they have a print-ready reference manual and an on-screen reference manual, and it's easy to get to the cross-stitch and quilting ones without opening the cross-stitch or quilting applications. But that's the home screen. There is a way to just turn it off. If you don't want to see this ever when you open your software, you can turn it off. Like, you don't have to come to this every single time. We are going to go over to Embroidery Canvas and kind of go over some of the things that are new here. Obviously, the color scheme is different. We have more toolboxes, and we have some new tools. Some of them are just kind of separating things. For example, lettering used to live in the digitized toolbox. It now has its own lettering and monogramming toolbox. There's now a lettering toolbox because apart from lettering and monogramming, we have our keyboard design collections. So this is a really cool thing that they've added where you can map keyboard fonts to your keyboard where you just type it in. It is so quick and easy, and I'll be showing that off in a little bit. But because they've added that, they've made lettering and monogramming its own toolbox. All the other toolboxes are basically the same. One of the things that's different is when I open the edit toolbox, instead of scrolling through the edit toolbox if it doesn't all show, I now scroll through toolboxes. Like, it shows all of it can, and as I scroll down, the toolboxes move too. It's a tiny thing, but it is something that when you're used to one way, it's a little bit different. If we look at the top, we have a new button here that is grayed out because I do not have a design pulled up. Actually, let me open a design real quick. And by open, I mean I'm going to make a circle because it highlights it. So we have this Send to Bernina Wi-Fi device. All of the updates and the Designer Plus full versions of software will be coming with this Bernina Wi-Fi device. It is essentially a wireless USB stick. It's a little bit bigger than one, but it plugs into your sewing machine. First you plug it into your computer. You make sure you configure it to work on your Wi-Fi network. And then you can plug it into your machine and send designs from anywhere in your house to the USB stick. Your machine does have to be turned on for it to work, though, because it has to have power. Right now, it's unhappy with me because I don't have one. One of the reasons for the delay in us getting software is because of the chip shortage, which I'm sure most people have heard about. There is a computer chip shortage. And originally, consumers, regular people, were not going to get the Wi-Fi device with their software. It was going to ship early next year. And you'd get your software early, and then you'd get your Wi-Fi device in a couple months. What they've decided to do, which is great for the people living in North America, okay, I can't even say that, specifically Canada and the United States, is that they are sending all the Wi-Fi devices to us, and they are launching the software in every other part of the world next year. So everyone that pre-orders an upgrade or the full version from us will be getting their Wi-Fi device when it comes in. At this time. Every month they update us on things change. So I don't want to be like, totally, because last month it was something completely different. But they're trying. I know there's a lot of issues right now. But this is so much fun to play with. I have played with one, and it does make it a lot easier. With my current setup, I technically could direct connect from my desktop to my sewing machine, but I would have a cord to trip on. And this makes it much easier for me to send designs over to it. I don't necessarily have to find a free USB port because that's it. I know it's a desktop, but all the USB ports are in the back and it's not fun. If you have multiple machines, you do have to have multiple USB Wi-Fi devices. If you're wanting to send them to multiple ones, if you have multiple computers like I do, you have to choose which one's your base computer that's connected to it. But you can move the connector from machine to machine. So when I was playing with it, I used it on both the 700 I have at home, and I used it on a very early 200 that had been updated to use a USB stick. Both of them worked great. I didn't have to change any of my settings, but I had to know which machine it was plugged into. And I have not tested it extensively. They were still working on testing it, actually, just sending it to different dealers to test. But it does look like it could work on multiple machines, but they do need to have a USB port for it to plug into that it would normally read designs from. But I know most of you all have Berninas. But if for some reason you had a different machine, it would probably still work. And again, it did work on my 200, which was about as manufactured as early as possible to still work with a USB stick. So Wi-Fi device, super awesome. I love it. It is so much fun to play with. I want mine, which probably means I'll be using the dealer copy. But other new things. We have rotate hoop on screen. We can rotate by 15 degrees, so it's a whole bunch of clicks to get it sideways, but you don't have to go to the multi-hooping toolbox to rotate your hoop anymore. You have rotate hoop on screen. And you can rotate it both left and right by 15 degrees. There's also a free range rotate, so I can say rotate this by 90, and because I'd already done 90 before, it is now upside down. Actually, I think it went back to where it was. That is one reason I do like the Bernina hoops, because it does show the bracket. And so I can figure out what I was doing. Obviously, whatever I was doing last, I was using a jumbo hoop. So rotate hoops on screen. Love it. I think it's like negative 90 is usually what I would use, because usually I like the bracket on top when I'm designing. But it's a personal preference. And it's just important you know, if you're designing that way, when you go to hoop it, it's hooped the proper way so you don't have an upside down design. I might have done that before. It does have this little quirk that I should probably point out to them. I currently have snap to grid turned on, but I don't have my grid turned on and it's still snapping to the grid. I'm going to fix that real quick by right-clicking on my show grid icon. I have to say show design grid, uncheck snap to grid, and then I can turn it off. And now, hey. Oh! When you have a tool on, it does weird things. It still thought I was making circles. I forgot to escape. Okay. But those are the kind of the new things on the workspace. I'm sure there's more, and I'm sure I'm just forgetting them, because I'm quite good at that. I'm going to go over to our embroidery library, because I want to make a new keyboard collection. So that is the A with the little half apple on top. Sometimes I have no idea how they come up with the collections. And if I use the drop down, I can actually see that there's some of these are already built in. It does come with some designs, and apparently it does not forget whenever you uninstall and reinstall. But it remembered my pinned alphabet. That's the one I did last time. Which makes me wonder what I'm going to do this time. I'll probably just do it again. But I can do a new collection. First, I want to pull my new collection up here. So I'm going to find my Dropbox. And I think it was in June was the pinned alphabet. Yeah. Okay. So I have my pinned alphabet. This one's both uppercase and lowercase. I do have an example of something I made with this at the store. It's a little tote bag that says Love Bug. So I want to select my M, and I'm going to do a new collection, and it's going to name it whatever the file folder's called. So because it was the first one I clicked on, I opened the EMB file format. That is an all-in-one format similar to art, but I'm just going to call it pinned alpha. because then it doesn't match the other one I did. And the reason I have M selected is because it wants a reference height, and it recommends using the capital M. And since I already have it selected, I can just click Use Selected, or Use Selection, and it will just stick it in, which makes it super handy. You can put a recommended height range in. I don't like doing math on the fly. I'm just going to leave it blank and say OK. So now I can add it. And I just did that wrong because I wanted to go here and say just look at uppercase. So I meant to go here. I went to go to my filter. Instead, I said map selected to A through Z. I only have one selected, which is M, so it mapped it to A. It's not what I want. So I'm going to click down here, remove mapping. It's going to say, are you sure? I'm going to go, yeah. M and A are not the same thing. So instead, to do this the proper way, I'm going to click on A, my uppercase A, hold down Shift, click on my uppercase Z, and now I can say map selected to A through Z uppercase. And then we wait. So there is a chat message asking about price. Version 9 is a charged upgrade. The price to upgrade from version 6, 7, or 8 is $649. That is our sale price. If you pay in full before September 15th, which I believe is next Wednesday, you get a $50 in-store gift card. And you don't get a choice whether you want the Wi-Fi device or not. It just comes with a Wi-Fi device. Okay, so while I was answering that, it just mapped all my uppercase letters very quickly and easily. So now I want to do my lowercase. So I'm going to click on my lowercase a, hold down Shift, click on the lowercase z, and it only shows you, like up here, it won't let me, it wouldn't let me map it to lowercase a through z because it wasn't showing. So I filtered it to lowercase letters, and now I can watch it do its thing. I do recommend kind of scrolling through and making sure it makes sense. Somehow, one time when I was doing it, I deselected one of the letters in the middle of the alphabet, and it makes everything off by one, which would make it very annoying to actually use it. So I have my lettering mapped, and there's of course multiple ways to do it. This is the way I find easiest. I'm going to go back to my embroidery canvas. I'm going to delete this circle, go to lettering and monogram, and I'm just going to go to my lettering, but I'm going to right click. I'm going to do my love bug thing that I've already done. And I do have more things I can filter by. So in version 8, we can filter by different things. Like if it's an Embroidery or True type font, now we can do a keyboard design collection fonts. Any of the ones that have actual recommended minimum and max height, those were ones that they put in. But I am going to do... And it's not telling me the whole name. That one. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to leave the height that is recommended for now. I can always change it. Say OK. Click on the screen. And I got my love bug. Now, is it perfect? No. It's not. It doesn't know what to do with this G. So it just lined it up with the baseline. There are ways to go in and fix that. I'm not going to show that off today because this is more about the quick and easy things. We will have lots of lessons about this. But how I would fix it is I'd break this apart, and like version 8, breaks it into lines. So my love and my bug are separate. And I'm going to break apart again. And now I can grab my G, realize that Snap to Grid has decided not to turn itself off, and just move it down so it's the angle I want. You can even use guidelines. I love my guidelines. So I can make a guideline that I want everything to match the bottom of that B. And set it like I want it. And I'll be honest, this is what I did on my bag, where I just kind of played with it to make it exactly what I wanted. Made it where it might touch. so it looks more like handwriting. I had a smaller space, so I actually broke apart my love and took the OVE, which I like the spacing on, and moved it up a little bit. So it was like the L went further down the baseline. But that's manipulation you can do with any lettering. Yeah. And no, I did not need to break it apart to fix it. That is just my go-to way of fixing it because it still sees it as lettering. Another way to fix it, if I undo enough. And honestly, I was playing with this enough that I wanted these separate anyways, is I can go into reshape and hold the control key down and move it. So there's multiple ways you can fix things. Because I can do the same thing. Except now I have two selected. Part of it's what you're more comfortable with. It sounds horrible, but reshaping lettering is not what I'm mostly comfortable with. Like, I'm good at I can do it, don't get me wrong, because I just did the exact same thing, but I like breaking it apart and just doing it that way. I will say this way, it still says bug on it. So it's a personal preference, like which one you want to do. Okay. So let me look at my iPad for once and see, because I'm using it as, there's actual lessons. I'm using it as a hit all these things. If we did leave it, because I did leave it as, I can do things like you can manipulate it to make it italicized. That actually looks really cool. I'd have to replay with my G again because it's leaving the tail of the G where everything else was. But you can manipulate it like you would basically any lettering, which is nice. And then it depends on where you bought your lettering collection, how well you can edit it. And by that, I mean, if it was not made by someone who digitizes with a Wilcom software, then you're going to have less ability to edit. So like with Lovebug, this is an OESD design that came out a couple months ago. I can do quite a bit with it and it will still behave. But if I got a design, say, off of Etsy from someone, I might not be able to edit as much. Reshaping would probably be limited to 10% up or down just because it is most likely stitch-based, not object-based. Whereas ours is object-based. Okay, that G is really bugging me. Let's go back to reshape. Okay. I fixed the G. Okay. I don't have issues. I promise. I do. I like things to look pretty. They do recommend testing it. If it's the first time you've played with if it's the first time you've played with the particular font, then I would recommend doing a test sew before you put it on your finished project. But technically, I'm supposed to recommend about that with anything you digitize to always do a test sew. I'm very good at recommending things I don't actually do. Yes, this particular font is purchased, and most of the ones that they're talking about here are purchased fonts. You could do your own handwriting, but you would have to digitize your own handwriting first. And there's a couple different ways you can do that. I want to say we had a lesson at some point where we used the open freehand tool and practiced, in this case, badly because it's still snapping to the grid even though I don't want it to. But using the open freehand to do stuff. One sec. Let me undo. There we go. Now I can make my R good. Okay, undo. But yeah, you can use the open freehand if you're good at with the mouse. Not everyone's good with the mouse, I understand that. But you can also like scan in your handwriting and digitize it. Someday I'm going to scan in my favorite recipe from my grandma and digitize it because it's her handwriting and put it on tea towels. But it has not happened yet. Someday. And if I wanted to isolate specific letters and make a font from, or a alphabet or keyboard font from her writing, I could. I know for a fact, though, that recipe does not have any Z's in it. And she's been gone quite a few years. That almost would be fun to go on and explanate. See if we could find anything she wrote a Z on. Because I think that would be the hardest letter. Anyways, keyboard lettering. Super awesome. It is quite quick and easy. You can do this in the embroidery screen. This is how I did it first. Like, I was given the software with nothing. Like, here, play with the software. And so I found it here and was opening every single letter and mapping it. And it was a pain in the hiney. And I'm like, who would want to do this? No, you go to Embroidery Library. It's super fast. This is more, to me, fine-tuning things. So, like, I can grab the E and say adjust baseline and spacing. And I could play with these. Like, if I felt like the baseline should be, ooh, let's go to the G. Like, let's go to G. G, G, G. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by myself. So I can grab this G, adjust baseline and spacing, and I can say, hey, this baseline down here needs to be here. And say, okay. And then if I do bug again, it's correct. So you can do some fine-tuning here. You can do fine-tuning after the fact. No, I'm not going to fine-tune the whole alphabet. There's things you can do to make it better. And make it easier. And part of it just depends on, like, if I was going to type love all the time, I wouldn't need to change things. If I was wanting to type letters that have some issue, or not issues, but where the baseline's not quite in the right place, then I might fix those letters. If I was being very good, I'd fix all of them, but that doesn't happen all the time. So let's go on to another new tool. So I'm going to do a new blank design. And we're going to look at the branching tool. So this is a really cool tool that allows you to, it's like Blackwork Run, except it works for fills and outlines. So in our Bernina 9 folder, there are actually some really cool things. As I get distracted again, we have basic shapes. So anytime you wanted just a random basic shape, like the you're here, that's what that looks like. It's like the little dot of this is where you're at. But if you're wanting some kind of random basic shapes, they are now built into the software. So if you need a mustache for anything. We have our inspiration. So this is from the Bernina Inspiration magazine. And these are some of the files that they had for those. You might be able to find some of it online about what they were doing. Although some of them, like this couching mandala, I wouldn't necessarily need to go find it online. If I like how it looked, I could probably just figure out how to stitch it because it looks like you just couch it. You also have projects. These are the ones that are done in the hoop. So we have some quilt labels that are built in. We have just in the hoop project. So this is a taggy. That's another taggy. Cup cozy. This is pieced in the hoop mug rug. I love this. We do have this one sewn out somewhere. A door hanger. Like there's lots of different ones. Luggage tags. And then there are blocks for piecing in the hoop. And this is where on the home screen, that project thing that you could click on is important because you click on that and it tells you how they're expecting you to use it. Does that mean you have to use it that way? Never. Never, never. Okay, but what I'm supposed to be doing is going into the floral and garden folder and finding tinsel and holly. As a random aside, because again, I'm good at getting distracted, if it has a 5-digit number dash a 2-digit number, that is most likely an OESD design. And if you like it, you can see if that collection is still available. Not all of these collections are available, but a lot of them are. But I want to go to Tinsel and Holly. We're going to open it. And we want to select just the leaf. So let me see. So I'm going to click off. I'm going to hold Alt, select the white, hold Control, select the red in my color film, and delete it. I'm going to close my keyboard collection Docker. And then I'm going to hold Alt and click and drag a box around this part of the green and delete. Hold Alt some more, click on that and delete it. Alt allows me to delete things in a grouped set. So since this leaf is all grouped, like this is still multiple objects, but it's still grouped together, which is very, very helpful. Okay, so I have my holly leaf. I want multiple holly leaves. I am going to rotate, hit -40 degrees. I want a whole bunch, so I'm going to go to I always think it's arrange. It's not, it's mirror merge, but I'm thinking array, arrange. I'm going to do an array. I want 5 rows, 2 columns. It doesn't really matter how many. Those are probably too far apart. And when you do something and you don't like it, you can always click undo. I'm going to put them as close together as possible because I can. Then I'm going to click and drag a box around half of them. I'm going to mirror merge them. Or not mirror merge, that's wrong. Mirror image them. And then I'm going to scooch them up so that they are offset. And then technically I'm supposed to put one on top, but I'm not following this exactly. I'm going to go to the closed object tool. I'm going to select brown, but I'm going to make a stem. That is a horrible stem. We're just going for it. And actually, it's supposed to be green. Thinking about it, it's supposed to be green. I'm going to take these and just scooch them a little bit further apart. And I can come in and do a reshape because I want the horrible stem to touch all of them. But just touch the tips. Is there a better way to do this? Yes. Am I slightly flustered? Yes. It happens. And I just want to say you can make stuff a lot prettier if you spend time actually making it look pretty. Okay, so I have my stem touching. And what I want to do is... oh, and she actually connects her stem a different way. I'm going to select everything. Actually, first I'm going to show you how it stitches. But quickly. But it's going to do a stem, it's going to jump, it's going to do it, or not a stem. It's just jumping along all the different leaves. I'm going to pause it, select everything, go to the edit toolbox, go to branching. It wants an entry point, I'm just going to hit enter. It wants an exit point, I'm just going to hit enter. So I can be very, very precise about where I want it to go. But I can also be like, you choose. Now when I go, it added travel stitches for me. So it's going to stitch all of the holly leaves first because they're underneath the stem. And then it's going to stitch the stem. So with this tool, if you're digitizing all the same color, you do not need to be as precise. Yeah, it doesn't always stitch the way I would normally think of wanting it to stitch, but it stitches okay. So the branching tool, super awesome. It's something that we've needed for a while. It will make digitizing faster because you don't have to think about it as hard. Because usually I'd be like, okay, this one needs to go here, and then I'll add a travel stitch in. And I don't know if you remember some of those lessons where we were sitting there in reshape, adding travel stitches between things, but it takes a lot of time. And if there is a easy button for that, then I am all for it. But that's branching. So we're going to do a new blank design. I'm going to show you weld. So weld is something I have missed for so long because we have a knife tool, but we did not have a weld tool, and they are opposites of each other. So for this one, I'm going to make a box or square. I'm going to do a circle. I want this to be 4 inches. I want this to be 1 inch. I am going to conveniently put it right. Don't move that. Like right there on the edge. I'm going to go to mirror merge. And I'm going to do another array. But this time I want, I'm going to say 2 rows. I think 4 columns? Nope, 5 columns. Now, it was perfect, and then I moved it. So what I'm going to do is actually hit escape, come back to that circle, go to array again, not move my mouse, and just push enter on the keyboard. And now these are perfectly aligned. This top row I'm just going to grab and move so it is lined up with the bottom. And while it's still selected, I am going to copy and paste it and rotate it 90 degrees. And then kind of get it to match up. If I was doing this for real, and I'm going to do a mirror merge horizontal to get the other one, I would spend time making sure everything lined perfectly up. In this case, I'm just going to grab whatever circle is on top of the corners and delete them. Because I want them to actually be circles. Now, if I select everything, I can go to the edit toolbox, I can click on weld, and I can then do an outline, and I have a scalloped border, which I think is a really cool way to get a scalloped border. And some of the other ways I've used weld is if I have an embroidery design that has multiple appliques that I want to just have one thing underneath. I can weld those applique pieces together. I do have to make them into a fill first. But I am super happy that there's a weld. I used to go over to artwork canvas to weld things and have to come back. It was not fun. This works so much better. But like you can even come in and say, hey, I want you to be a satin outline. And if I had worked better at it, the points would look better. But I did not do it quite right. I did it in a rush. But with just a little bit more time, it could look really good. So the last thing I want to show off and then see if there's any questions is pattern stitches, because there's new pattern stitches. Of course, we can add our own, but it's even easier if they're already there for us. So we're going to grab a in the hoop project. This is going to be 1274307. So this is a luggage tag that you can, of course, stitch just like it is. What they are intending with this luggage tag is that this spot here would have a name on it or a monogram, some sort of identifier. Example, if my mom was still involved with Girl Scouts, which it's been quite a few years since I'm not going to say aged out, but since I left school and didn't continue. She would have like Chief on here because that was her Girl Scout name. She also got volunteered for a lot of stuff. But we are going to change it to be something slightly different. So we want a lot of this gone. So I'm going to come over here, hold the Alt key, select the first green. I'm going to scroll down, hold the Alt key and the Control key and select, well, that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted Alt and Shift. Alt and Shift. I want everything selected, and I'm going to delete it. Unfortunately, I now need to go in and hold down my Alt key and make this a different color, because when we're stitching it, we need our placement line for our top fabric, our tack down and cut line for our top fabric, because we put our top fabric down. Then we should do put our backing on. I believe that's what this one is for. And then it does the satin stitching. I'm also going to hold down my Alt key and select these random lines. Basically, I made this pink so it wouldn't stitch 4 times in the same place, because there's supposed to be some changes there. I also don't want these, I don't need these guidelines here. And I don't need these travel stitches. Basically, we want a blank tag, and that's what we got. So they have us using the design grid. I am just going to go for it and see if I mess it up again. We're going to go to the Open Object tool. I'm going to choose a color that's not in there. I'm going to select at the top, hold Control, select at the bottom, hit Enter. I'm going to select this line. I'm going to copy and paste it. No, I didn't want to paste. I just wanted to copy. Select it. I'm going to click on my pattern run. I actually want to right click because I want to open it. We're going to go to Select, and we have new ones. Where they want us to go is, I thought it was travel. Did I miss it already? Did I just not read it? Let's go to Hobby and Sport and see what's here. And you can click this red leaf to make everything show better. So I am going to not do exactly what they say. I want a sewing machine. I'm going to say okay and okay. And now I have a line of sewing machines. And then I can paste. Click and move it somewhere else. Ideally, they would be lined up. I will fix that in a little bit. Right click on pattern run. Let's go to Nature 2. Nature 2 is new. We can have some palm trees. So I want to sew in some palm trees. And you can play with putting these exactly where you want them. Right click, select, seasons. Seasons is new. Let's say we're sewing in palm trees for presents. Now, does this make quite sense? No. But it's fun. And mostly, there's a lot of new stitches that you can play with. This will probably be a lesson unless the workbooks come out when the software launches, or when the software actually gets to us. This is a lesson I will probably be teaching. So we will make it like we are actually supposed to, because y'all know I'm good at not following instructions. Oh, that's why. It's called Banner. That's where I was supposed to be. So this has different things. These are actually really fun. I have digitized and brought some of these in. The one we were supposed to do, of course, says Swiss on it. So it has a Swiss cow, and it says Swiss a whole bunch of times. I can come in and I can change part of it if I would like to. So, like, for example, I want my spacing to be 2 inches. Excuse me. There we go. That's too much, but I can play with my spacing, because it felt like the cow was like right on the last S, but it's just having, It's having a hissy fit because I didn't try to mess with it earlier. But you can also move it individually. So I'm in reshape and you can move each stitch individually. There's always ways to manipulate it. That is one thing I love about our software, is that if I don't like how something looks, I can change it. Yeah, and I still don't like how that looks. But there's a whole bunch of new ones. Not all of them are Swiss-based, of course. One of them... Actually, we can just change this. Under banner... Well, there's the I Love You, which is super cute. It'd be a great thing to make little labels for people in your life. But then there's also a bald eagle with a flag. Or there's just the USA with the flag. But yes, there's lots of new ones. I am looking forward to playing with them. To me, these are a lot of the ones that work better in the embroidery software, because when I try to stitch too many of them out on the sewing machine, because a lot of these are on the new sewing machines, they don't quite look like they're supposed to, because I don't feed straight the entire time. And so they can get off a little bit. As I'm going to go rogue again. They do have pattern stamp, so you can come in here and be like, hey, let's go to banner, grab the I Love You, stamp it. So I click twice to stamp. And I'm going to do this fun thing called select all of that, right click and say hide selected. So we're going to pretend it doesn't exist. It's still there, but I'm just pretending it's not there. So I have the I Love You, and I can do stuff like the Mirror Merge toolbox. I can wreath it and say, hey, I want, say, 6 of these. So you could make like a I Love You hexagon. But you could also, because they don't have to necessarily meet, you could have a fun stitch like this. Right now what it is showing is my connectors, so it's saying that there's a jump stitch. That's what those things are. To be very honest, I don't like jump stitches. I know my sewing machine can cut them, but I'd probably just move it slightly in, so now they are touching. I still have those connectors, but I can select all of this, go to the edit toolbox, select, hey, why is Blackwork Run not? Okay, apparently I can't make it do it. Aha, I can make it a triple stitch and apply a Blackwork Run, and then hit enter. And now if I turn my connectors back on, I do not have any connectors to this. There's always a way. But you can also, if I undo that before the Blackwork Run, depending on how it's been digitized. Oh, nope, it's all one thing. Sometimes when they get digitized, the heart would be separate and you can make that a different color. There's, of course, ways you could do that. There's ways where if this heart's not in the software, which I do not know all of the designs in the software yet, but if this heart was not in the software, we could, actually, we could take it and put it in. Sorry, I'm going completely off, but I like this idea. I need to follow this idea through. So I have this. I have it selected. I can go to the edit toolbox. I can grab that knife tool. You know that tool I said I really like? I can knife out my heart. What? You're supposed to work with that. Okay. I'm going to make it a triple stitch because sometimes that behaves better with the knife tool. Or not. Okay. There has to be a way to do it. I'm gonna stop obsessing. Because we have been playing for a little while. And I want to see if y'all have any questions. How about objects in the color film? That is actually what I had selected. So if I do show individual objects, it is one object. And I think even after I cut this, it was still showing as one object, which is weird because it's not supposed to. And considering Software Sampler next Saturday is all about using the knife tool. I am not sure. Oh, Stitch Edit. We could use Stitch Edit. So if we select Stitch Edit, oh gosh, you're right. Yes. That would be easier. Yeah, and then it's like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, reshape is way better. Sorry. At some point I will no longer be sleep deprived. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Someday my toddler will sleep through the night. Maybe. But yes, reshape better. And actually at this point, so they digitize this all with left clicks. But I could come in and be like, hey, would you like some circles? So what I'm doing is selecting the node and hitting spacebar, and it makes it into a right click or a roundy node where it puts curves in. So if I wanted it to be a little less square, I could do that as well. But yeah, reshape makes so much more sense. When we use the knife tool on Software Sampler, which will be not this Saturday, but the coming Saturday, we will be cutting lines and like taking things apart. And that worked beautifully. I don't know why it decided not to work on here, although I will say I did not use version 9 for Software Sampler because it's not out yet. And to be honest, I would be using my little guidelines. If I wanted to make this into a stitch, I'd be using my guidelines to move my reshape points so that they are perfectly aligned. And I do go through and sometimes delete extra points. Although with hearts, a lot of times there aren't very many extra points because if you want it to look like a heart, you need extra part. But I could now select this, go to settings and say create pattern. I would need to create a pattern set. This is the easiest way to know that I have not used this software. There is no pattern set. I'm just going to name it Rachel's for now. Normally, I would name it whatever the project goes with. But yeah, I'm going to call it heart. I'm going to say okay. And it looks like they have changed pattern sets, but now I have the heart in my thing. So if I make a line, let's just make a circle. If I make a circle and make it a different color, I can use it as both an outline and a fill. I'm going to use it as a fill real quick because I can. But I can put a little heart in all of it, and it's super cute. How much is the upgrade? Okay, upgrade. I don't remember what MSRP is. I think it's $7.99. Our sale price is $6.49. But if you pay by the 15th, which is of September, which is, I believe, next Wednesday, you get a $50 gift card as well, which you can use on anything in the store except the upgrade. So, like, if your machine needs a service, you can use that towards the machine service. If you need more embroidery supplies, as per usual, and you want to actually get the holiday celebration as well, because we are doing holiday celebrations with OESD, where if you spend $79 on OESD products, you get a free collection. You can use it towards that. You can use it on anything except paying for the upgrade. And depending on what day you do it, sometimes you can't use it the day you get it, because apparently I'm the only one that knows how to enter them at this time. But yeah, any more questions? Because at this point now I'm just I'm using you all as an excuse to play with version 9, which is super fun. What kind of computer do I have? Well, I'm currently on a custom built desktop because that's what my brother likes to do. My laptop, which I got moderately recently, is a Rogue Zephyrus. It's from ASUS, or Asus, depending on how you want to say it. It is a gaming laptop. Normally, at this point, I would turn my camera on and show you, but my camera is not behaving. Honestly, if I wasn't transporting my laptop a whole bunch, I would have gotten a slightly larger one. But it's not tiny, but it doesn't have the biggest screen. It's like average. What features do you think are the best reason for upgrading from 8? If you do lettering and you like to buy lettering collections, the keyboard lettering is just awesome. I love it. I will admit I don't have that many keyboard lettering collections just because most of what I do is OESD products, and although they come out with 1 or 2 a year, they don't come out with that many. It sounds horrible, but like the weld tool, like when I found that, I was just like, yes, this is something I've been looking for. It's something I really wanted. I love it. Is it something everyone would use? No. I really like the home screen with the built-in tutorials. It's never fun to try and find the tutorials online. I mean, it's definitely doable, but it's not as easy. I know there's more features. Oh, yes. That does not go backwards. That will only be with version 9. But yeah, wirelessly sending designs. When I'm doing a lot of embroidery for the store at home, I will have multiple machines running, and not all of them will be all in one place. And to be very honest, right now, my 200, finding a USB stick that works with it is not the easiest thing. And it'd be an expensive USB stick for it, or USB device for it. But the fact I can use it on multiple computer or machines, including that one's very nice. But yeah, the Wi-Fi, having them rotate hoop on screen. I rotate my hoop all the time when I'm doing lettering. So for example, I don't have a camera. Dang it. Okay. I have a project next to me, and I can't show you because it's not on camera. But it had some lettering. There's always new stuff. Let's see. This is when you go back and forth between computers and versions, things move. So I want my embroidery fonts because there are new embroidery fonts. There's always new embroidery fonts. And which one did I use? Because it was super cute. Must have been... I know it's here. Oh, I think it was Flare Script, maybe. No, that one's... We've had that one. Might have been this one. What does this say? Meow teeny. Mostly right now I'm just using this. Yeah, this is the one I used. But I made a pillow that has a new cat that's from a collection that's coming out. And it says, a meow teeny, shaken not purred. The cat has a little black bow tie. It's super cute. And this is a new font that came out, or that's coming with it, that is super cute to go with it. Corel Draw has also been upgraded. So it's like the latest version and works on everything. I just like that it seems to work better. Not that version 8 doesn't work, but this has like little things that they've fixed. And a lot of them, you don't realize they fixed it until it actually comes back. What type of classes are offered for upgrade? I will be doing Zoom classes for the most part. I know there are a few people that need in-person classes, and at some point I will be offering those. But really, it's mainly for the people that have to have them. I'm not really comfortable doing a lot of in-person stuff, and our classes will be very small. But we will be doing Zoom classes. And I believe next year Software Sampler will, of course, be focusing on version 9. Because that's what they seem to do. And actually, we will have a Software Sampler. I don't know if it's October or November, but either October or November, the Software Sampler will be it'll be something like this, except put together by Debbie Lashbrook, who has been working with it and helping develop it from the beginning. So she has a better idea of all the different things that's changed. Most of the things I know that's changed, it's what I use the most. But yeah. Actually, the whole part where I go to settings and, not settings. No. Where did you go? Again, that's create settings, create pattern. The fact I can uncheck these, like this is new. And if you create a lot of patterns, having it where it has multiple color changes or has special functions where you can leave those in, that's very exciting. I've just found it, of course. Like, haven't played with creating patterns yet. And I can see potential for that. Though I will say, if you want to use the Wi-Fi device and you don't want to upgrade, you can get ArtLink 9. It will be compatible with the with the Wi-Fi device. Unfortunately, only the people that pre-order basically the upgrade, or if you didn't have software, the full version, are going to get Wi-Fi devices until about this time next year. Because we're just going to get our initial order in, and then we're going to be waiting. And for timetable, right now they are hoping that the software, because it's coming with the Wi-Fi device, will ship, I think they said end of November, beginning of December. I know they keep pushing it back, and I know that's disappointing, because I'm right there with y'all. But shipping has just been crazy. Do we need to come in to purchase? No, you don't have to come in. If you want to talk to me personally to purchase, I am in store on Thursday in the afternoon, because Bernina Club's Thursday. So I'll be at home in the morning doing Bernina Club, and afternoon I'll be at the store, and I'll be there Saturday. Although anyone should be able to help you. Of course. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate the compliment. Yeah. I know there's more new things, and I know I'm just not thinking of them. Oh, they have, okay. If you use a electronic cutting machine, they have made exporting SVG files a lot easier. So like if I have applique, I can export a cutting file. I can actually just grab this heart, export a cutting file. I can choose what I want it to export. So in this case, it's embroidery shapes. I can choose if I want to be Bernina or SVG. So if I want to export for my cutwork tool versus I have a silhouette cameo. But you can choose which one. You can say where you want it. You can name it. I can export just what I have selected. Like, this has gotten so much easier. Prior to version 9 and version 8, to export an EXP file, you had to, or not EXP file, an SVG file, you had to get the line you wanted, convert it into artwork canvas, and export it that way. And you had to have 8.1, because I don't think it was available in 8, because you needed the new Corel Draw. This, so much easier. It's not something I think about that much, because I am, once I know how to do something, I like to keep doing it the same way. And so I haven't used this yet. That, and I actually haven't used my cutwork tool in a little while. And my cameo's been packed away for the last year because I don't have space to put it out without tiny hands getting it. But yeah, that's another thing. They have made applique a little bit easier. They have worked with cutwork. So like one of the things I really like it's if I grab this, I can say convert to cutwork border, and it just automatically converts it. This was something that was missing in version 8, like highly missing. And then I can go to my cutwork border Docker and say, hey, I just want you to cut. And it's cutwork. Like it doesn't have to have... It's close to what would happen if I was using DesignWorks. And that's kind of what I wanted for 9 as much as I could, was for cutwork to be as easy as it is in DesignWorks. And they're getting closer. So I appreciate that. Okay. Any more questions, comments, concerns? Okay, thank you. So thank you all for coming. Again, I will be at the store Thursday afternoon and Saturday if you have more questions. I am the person who has played with it the most. Of course, I'm the software person. I like doing it. So I'll see you all soon, hopefully. And again, thank you for attending. So, bye.